Welcome to Freaky Fauna Friday, where every Friday we take a little time and explore some of the freaks of nature from around the planet we cherish so deeply. So please, jump aboard and let's explore the wilds together. Welcome back to Freaky Fauna Friday. I am the great and sick Mr. E.
Oh, and I'm Jay, and I hope you don't toss nothing over here.
This is week 4 of me being sick.
And somehow I've avoided it.
But now it's in my head and my ears and everything.
Yuck.
Yeah, that's not great. That's okay. So we normally do this earlier in the year, but we had other things scheduled. We're going to do either the new species discovered from 2024 or rediscovered.
Oh.
So we've done this. We did this last year. Basically, any new animals they got found during the year.
Yeah, it's a year in review.
A year in review. So you talk for a minute while I get ready.
Well, are we going to talk about... I guess I don't know what to expect on this one. I'm trying to think off the top of my head if I remember anything being discovered. I remember a spider, seeing that. Let's see if that makes the list or not.
A couple of these are like back from near extinction or thought they were extinct.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool. Basically, over 163,000 species are red listed at threatened. 45,000 species are listed at risk of extinction.
Okay.
And then this is relatively soon in risk of extinction within the next 5 years. So thankfully to conservation efforts and with help, not to mention that every year scientists reportedly discover about 18,000 new species. So we're going to go over some of these.
18,000 of them?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's plants, animals. Yeah,
buckle up. No, I'm just kidding.
It's going to be a long episode.
Yeah.
The Tamaburkus donkey or danky, better known as the lone water frog, has returned from near extinction. October 24th, a dozen endangered lone water frogs were transported to the permanent zoo in San Antonio, back to their homeland in Calma, Chile. The frogs were initially taken to the zoo in 2019 after their population was decimated by the destruction of their habitat and the water extraction for mining. So they destroyed the last little habitat they had for mining. Thankfully, this San Antonio Zoo herpetologist, Xavier Cababis, led a successful reproduction campaign and has over 500 new frogs to the world.
Oh, nice.
So they found a habitat that they're starting to put them back into.
Bringing them back from the brink.
So yeah, they were probably actually declared extinct. But due to this one, this group, the zoo, they put them back. So like he said, that most likely, if they didn't save any, they would have only existed in one laboratory.
Oh, wow.
They had a couple of them before.
Yeah.
They took like the last 20 of them.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'd like to follow this one a little bit, maybe next year.
Yeah, if I remember. 7 new frog species were discovered in Madagascar, and they were given names inspired by Star Trek.
Nice.
In October 2024, research shared a mountain of Madagascar. So it's the first time they ever really got to this new mountain in Madagascar to study anything.
Okay.
And we've talked about that in Madagascar and Cribs of Corn, that there's only a small part of the island that has people.
Right.
That you can go to, that you can study. The other side may have people, but they're living a much more tribal lifestyle.
Right. Much more isolated.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right.
So they were discovered 7 new frog species under the Bufos family group, which is a pretty high level, just family group of frogs. Most interesting, the frogs do not croak. Instead, they produce high-pitched whistling sounds, which the researcher thinks sound like the Star Trek sound effects.
Oh, that's where they got the name from.
So, yeah, one of the researchers said, that's why we named the frogs after Kirk, Picard, Cisco, Janeway, Archer, Burnham, and Pike.
Okay.
Which are all characters through Star Wars.
Nice. Star Trek.
Star Trek. 7 of the most iconic captains from the sci-fi series.
Right, yep. That's pretty cool.
So,
we might have to pull up their sounds sometime.
There's probably none on recorded that you can get access to.
You're probably
just
right.
discovered in October.
Yeah, it's true. That's pretty cool, though.
Yep. Next one. So we got frogs, for sewer frogs. We're going to talk about a grumpy fish.
All right.
So researchers discover a new species of grumpy fish or grumpy dwarf goby in the Red Sea. a team of researchers in the King Albany University of Science and Technology and the University of Washington published a research paper on September 12, 2004, announcing a new discovery of a new grumpy fish species. This discovery was published in the journal Zookeys. The tiny, bright-eyed fish has been distinctly pouty demeanor from when it gets its name. It's just a goby. You know what gobies look like?
Yep.
So this one really, really has a big pouty face. It looks like an angry cat or
Okay.
grumpy cat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's funny.
Next one, the Canadian lynx.
Oh,
So you know what the difference between a lynx and a bobcat is?
is it the ears?
Not very much. Yeah, a little bit of the ears, a little bit of the face tufts. They look very, very similar.
You're right.
And one's just the northern counterpart to the southern.
Okay.
So Canadian lynx was spotted in Vermont for the first time since 2018.
Okay.
So they thought the last one died in around 2018 and they're back, or at least there's another one. According to the Associated Press, the Canadian lynx has been spotted for the first time in years in Vermont on August 17th, 2024. The species is listed as critically endangered in the state. A wildlife biologist and fur-bearing project leader with the Vermont Fish Department explains the newest sighting is especially exciting because the cat was spotted in Rutland County, far south of most confirmed lynx reports in Vermont.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So there may be other ones, and we know what cats are really good at hiding.
Absolutely, they are. And I can't believe they didn't respect the border, though. Wow. Just crossed over willy-nilly.
Crossed over willy-nilly. All right. Sorry, I'm losing my breath. Oceanographers discovered 20 possible new underwater species off the coast of South America. 20 new species in one go. In August 2024, the Schmidt Ocean Institute unveiled the discovery of around 20 potential new species, all discovered off the coast of Nazca Ridge along the western South American near Chile. Institute says they share these detailed potential new species. On our expedition, we think we found around 20 new species. The institute, told, as well as about 80 species that have never been seen in this part of the world before.
Oh, wow.
So that's when these oceanic surveys, that happens a lot too, where like giant squid have been found in every ocean, right?
Mhm.
We've known very little about their habitat preferences. We know we think they like a certain depth. So we expect that if you go to these ridges, you'll probably find giant squid there, even though we have no data to support that.
Right.
So there's a lot of species like that. There was one species relatively recently. It's called deep sea whalefish, where we thought the whole species was female
Okay.
because we only ever found females.
Right, yeah. But that
It-
can't be. I mean,
It turns out the male was a species that they had caught also, that they thought the whole species was only male.
oh, so they're so very sexually
And then the
dimorphic.
babies were thought to be their own species as well because they thought they were just all larvae.
Oh, wow.
And they
Okay.
never left their larval state.
Mm.
The females look like giant, like potato fish. The males look like little viper fish, and the babies look completely different.
Huh.
So they're extremely, not only sexually dimorphic, they're extremely dimorphic through their whole life cycle,
Right, yeah.
it's very odd. They're very odd fish.
What was that called again?
I'm trying to remember. It's like a deep sea whalefish, or is one of the names of
Okay.
a female.
Oh, okay.
They look like a big red bowfin, the females do.
Interesting.
But yeah, so 20 new species.
Yeah. I mean, don't we discover new species pretty much every time we do a...
It depends. It's hard sometimes. Like I said, like they have to go through. So when these expeditions go down, they have a network of other deep sea oceanographers. They're like, "Hey, Charles, have you ever seen this animal before?" Because it's new species of squid to me,
Right.
but it doesn't mean it's new species of squid.
Right, on
So
the
that
Earth,
takes
right.
a lot of time
Okay.
to go through these networks. And they're, as far as I know from my limited knowledge with these groups, they're hyper friendly with each other because there's not a lot of them.
Mhm.
So a lot of times they'll send pictures, or when they live stream, like Noah live streams a lot of their dives.
Yeah.
They'll actually have guys from around the world
Watching and...
that are in the live stream.
IDing.
That are like,
yeah.
like, hey, James in Mediterranean, there's a species of shrimp. Have you ever seen something? And be like, I don't know. It kind of looks like Malagrius something or other, but it may not be. But to me, if it was here, that's what I would call
That's
it.
what I would call it, yep.
And so they'll look at it and be like, well, is it that, or is it a similar species?
Teamwork.
Yeah, there's like 12 people that do it.
Yeah.
So some of these species oceanographers observed include the Casper octopus, making us first time species was ever found in the Pacific, or the Southern Pacific specifically.
Casper octopus.
An extremely rare Prothostachys octopus, and 2 bathycinosaurs, aka flying spaghetti monsters.
Huh?
So these cyanophores, you know what cyanophore is?
Yes.
They look like giant piles. These 2 species look like giant piles of spaghetti.
Oh, okay. All right.
So there's 2 new species of cyanophore, and then a species of octopus has never been seen in that ocean. Were kind of like the highlights they picked.
Okay.
Any questions about any of these so far?
That's interesting.
We have a lot. I have a lot. We'll see how many we get through. Conservationists are revitalizing, I'm going to try to say the scientific name. The Sibian Roxastella carciocalius, aka the black marsh turtle.
Oh, I don't think you did too bad.
Well, you'll never know. I'm not going to show you.
I won't know. It just sounded all right.
The marsh turtle hatching in captivity and the Oregot Center Conservation of Biodiversity. These teeny reptiles will eventually be released back into the wild as conservation hoped to revitalize the endangered species. The black marsh turtle are freshwater reptiles that are currently listed as critically endangered, with numbers decreasing every year by the red list community. To no one's surprise, the reason these turtles are endangered is purely due to poaching and habitat loss. The IUCN summarizes the main threats to the species exploitation for natural and international consumption, trade, and habitat loss. They're tiny turtles and people are eating them to death.
Gosh.
And then they're losing a lot of their marshes to agriculture.
When you say tiny, like, what do you mean?
The size of your hand.
That's their max?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Marsh turtles and musk turtles do not get big.
Okay. And people are eating them?
Mm-hmm. By the thousands.
What do you get off that?
You just cook the whole thing and then you eat it.
I guess so.
But thankfully, there's conservation, trying to change this. They have 6 adult black marsh turtles and they're hatching babies.
Oh, good.
Scientists, next one. Scientists discover an extremely rare Crocodylus siamese, or Siamese crocodile eggs. In July 18, 2024, conservationists in Cambodia announced that in May, locals had discovered 106 eggs from an extremely rare Siamese crocodile, the Cambodian National Park. Since then, 60 other eggs have hatched. According to a joint statement from the Cambodian Ministry of Agriculture, Environment, and Conservation Groups, Flora and Fauna. Man, they have a long name for everything. Previously, there were only 400 Siamese crocodiles left.
What makes it... I've heard Siamese cat, Siamese crocodile. What makes it Siamese?
I think it's a region in Asia.
Oh.
So now Cambodia, China, I think it's a region.
Huh. Well, then...
I don't think it's a country anymore.
Well, then you got Siamese people. Like, they're the
conjoined
twins?
Yeah.
So what...
I'm going to assume that it was named after the place. Maybe they had a high... I don't know. I'm guessing.
I don't know either.
I'm making guesswork.
Now thought of all
but
this
Siamese
stuff.
is a region, I believe.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of animals, like you said, that have the Siamese in their name.
Yeah.
They're from Cambodia, Laos, Asia. Like, that part of Asia in general.
I always wondered what it meant. I never really thought about it.
So like I said.
Oh, it's a native of Siam, which is now Thailand.
So
okay.
Yeah, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, I'm sure. Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Anyways, 400 Siamese crocodiles were left. So these 60 eggs that have hatched have dramatically increased the population.
Oh, good. All right.
So the species is still listed as critically endangered. The discovery incites that there are areas to key habitat for wild left, or these crocodiles left in the wild, providing hope for the species to recovery. They haven't found a nest in forever.
Okay.
So even though they took all the eggs out of the nest to hatch them in captivity,
it
was exciting to see that there is still a pair out there that is still nesting, and there's still habitat to make a nest.
Until they realize all their eggs just got taken.
Well, they're still made again.
Maybe they'll just discourage them forever.
Yeah. All right, I gotta take a drink.
Okay. But that would be Siamese crocodiles. Man.
Most of the time they cover the nest back up and let the alligator or crocodile sit back on it.
Oh, okay.
They don't know.
Okay, good.
The Mississippi gopher frog is recovering from the edge of extinction.
Mississippi?
Yeah. June 2024, Corehouse News Surveys reports that the conservation effort revitalizing the Mississippi gopher frogs are underway. The frogs, sometimes known as the dusky gopher frog, have been on the verge of extinction for decades, with only 50 frogs left in the wild in 2005. In late May and early June, American Conservation Experience interns released more than 500 adult frogs into the hidden Mississippi habitat and raising over 757 tadpoles at the Mississippi Sandhill Crane National Wildlife Refuge.
Our friend.
Mm-hmm. Biologist Joseph Peachman of Western Case University told the courthouse that they're raising the frogs in a controlled environment first. We can get the survival rates up to about 80%. The frogs are doing much better than the mid-2000s.
Oh, good. Is this that video of that kid that
No,
collected all his frog eggs? No,
tens
I
of
know.
thousands of frogs.
Yeah.
Which,
Do that with these guys.
any questions about that?
Another frog.
There's a lot of frogs. Amphibians need help.
Oh, at least we're discovering them.
Here's a second, a lot of frogs, and here's a second cat. Not only a second cat, a second lynx.
Mm.
The Iberian lynx, better known as Lynx parmenius, because the other one's Lynx canadius, is back from the brink of extinction. While not an undiscovered species, the Iberian lynx has been an endangered species for well over 2 decades, with the population numbers under 60 in 2001.
That's pretty small.
Yeah.
Where are these? Is it? It's in Russia?
Now, if you let me finish my sentence,
Okay.
That's the next sentence I have. The Iberian lynx, which is native to parts of Spain and Portugal,
Oh, Spain and Portugal.
declined heavily in the population thanks to food scarcity, habitat loss, and high illegal hunting, among many other issues like fur trading.
I can see that.
Thankfully, though, in 2024, the report by the International Union for Conservation, the IUCN, in 24 revealed the lynx status has improved from endangered to vulnerable.
Oh, wow. That's a big jump.
They got downgraded.
Yeah, that's really good.
Thanks to the tireless efforts of dozens of conservationists. These are a big group of men and women working very, very hard to get these cats back.
Keep them back, yeah.
Conservation strategies include reintroducing populations in parts of Spain and Portugal, focusing on increasing European rabbit populations. The rabbits are a staple diet of the lynx.
Yep. Oh, that's cool because, Spain, Portugal, it's not like a huge area.
And it used to have tons and tons of biodiversity.
Yeah, I'm sure it doesn't anymore.
Including dozens and dozens of species of salamander that have gone extinct in the last 100 years.
Ooh. No, that's just
Add
a
some
shot
of the
to the
craziest,
heart.
add some of the craziest species of salamanders.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some fire salamanders that were only found on the coastline of Portugal.
Come on, Spain and Portugal. Let's get it together.
Next one. The northern green anaconda was discovered.
Wow.
So it's kind of a weird one. The northern green anaconda and the southern green anaconda are split.
It's not the same thing?
They just split them. They just speciated them. So
Okay.
forever, it's not that they didn't know that the anacondas were there.
Mhm.
They didn't know they were a separate species of anaconda
Okay.
because they're green anacondas. They look like the southern green anacondas.
Yeah.
But also the largest accurately recorded anaconda ever was discovered there in January.
In the same, like in Canada? Or where?
No, North and South America.
Oh, that's okay. I guess when I'm thinking northern, I just automatically go to Canada. So
No.
So just in North America in general,
South.
there's the northern South America.
Yes.
That makes a lot. Now it's all clicked.
Yes.
Okay. That was getting my brain was
Sorry,
not like. I'm like trying to wrap my head. There's an anaconda.
No, so forever, this northern version of the anacondas got a lot bigger than the southern version.
Okay.
And they just thought it was a habitat preference or more food availability. They started doing genetic tests in the past year, and they found enough data to show that they have been
They're actually just
isolated for about 10 million years, and they're genetically distinct enough.
Wow.
Because there's a mountain range that kind of separates them.
Okay.
So anacondas don't go far from the water.
Right.
So it's they're not a species that's going to cross a mountain range.
Well, that's pretty cool.
So yeah, they discovered basically speciated a new species.
That's a good discovery then.
Yeah. Raph Calmias hijinxius, a small and secretive snake, was found in Saudi Arabia. This is referred to by some as the snake in the tiny ski mask. It is a small snake with a red coloring and a black collar found in the Hajjarts regions of Saudi Arabia. The snake was discovered by researchers from the Biodiversity and Genetic Resource Center in Portugal and Charles University in the Czech Republic. And the research was published in the Journal of Zoo Systematics and Evolution. But basically, the snake was never seen before. There's a chance it may... So there's still a lot of questions with the species of snake.
Mm-hmm.
It may be a cousin of a known species from a lot farther away.
Okay.
It may be the same species and we don't have enough data to say it is. With genetic variants, we talk about phenotypes.
Mhm.
It may just be a different phenotype for this region.
Okay.
Or it may be the missing link between Saudi Arabia, like the desert snakes, and some of the snakes of Africa. Because this is a mountain snake.
Okay.
So this may be the species that kind of branch the gap between them.
Interesting.
They're tiny. They're literally tiny, tiny.
Like how big, I guess?
They fit in your hand.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. The corporal arboreal alligator lizard is a new species of lizard. January 2024, researchers published a study detailing this new species of lizard. You ever seen an alligator lizard?
I don't think so.
They look like little alligators, but they're lizards.
So maybe.
I mean, we have a species, a cousin here in Texas and some of the other southern states. They're pretty feisty for their size.
Okay.
But they've been seeing this lizard since 2014, but haven't been able to get one
Okay.
to prove it's a new species. When you're talking about cryptids and that kind of stuff, but researchers were seeing one for about, almost 2014, almost 10 years before they caught one.
Yeah.
But yeah, species lives high in the trees, and makes it also very hard to catch, which is abnormal for alligator lizards. They're normally ground dwellers. Alligator lizards are fast and they have a hard bite. These guys only grow up to about 9 inches.
Oh, okay. Very small.
Yep. Getting towards the end of my list here. Jaguars make a comeback to the U.S.
All right.
More and more, and they've been coming back for the last 30 years. But there are more and more jaguars in 2024 have been sighted, including a trail camera that got 3 different animals in one spot.
Wow. Where? Do you know where?
Arizona, I believe.
Arizona. Okay, cool.
And there was an argument that they're like, well, there's one rogue jaguar.
Right.
And the guy that got the picture was like, look,
There's-
patterns are different.
Yeah. There you go.
And they're like, great.
Yeah, exactly.
Jaguars, yeah.
That is great, though, in my opinion.
So, in early 2024, announced new jaguars were spotted in Arizona in December of 2023. In the last 30 years, this marks only the 8th jaguar recorded outside in the southern U.S. outside of Texas.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Russ McScampin, the Center of Biology Diversity, said this. I'm certain that this is a new jaguar previously unknown to the United States. But yeah, like he said, he uses the Rosetta patterns on the jaguar to determine the species, right, the animal, the individual.
So he thinks it might be a new species?
No, sorry.
Or, sorry, a new...
A new individual that's never been recorded. A new,
Gotcha.
new jaguar.
Understood. Okay.
Because a lot of
another
ones that end up
guy.
in Arizona and Utah, we get pictures of them through Texas.
Yep,
This is
gotcha.
what's called the Jaguar Highway
Okay.
in Texas. So a lot of them come through Texas, and there's some gaps in like the fence.
How far north did jaguars used to be native?
Now that's an argued hot button thing. Like I said, you ask different biologists, you get different responses.
Mhm.
I'm of the camp up into Ohio in the Midwest.
Dang, think about that.
Because in South America, they go way high up in the mountains.
Yeah.
The cold is not, they're not a cat that's afraid of the cold.
Right.
Right now we think of them as jungle and desert cats because that's where they're left.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at pumas or mountain lions or cougars, which are all the same animal, different names, same animal,
Yep.
they fit the whole gambit. They're
Right,
in the
yep.
swamps, they're in the mountains, they're in the snow, they're in the deserts, they're in the Midwest.
They're in our backyard.
Yeah. So after being nearly wiped out, these majestic felines continue to reestablish previously occupied territories despite the border wall construction, new mines, and threats to their habitat. So that's a big thing they were worried about with these guys because they're starting to come back with the border walls. It seems because that's one thing that we don't talk about enough with the border wall. Not politically. I'm not talking politically. Talking that there is going to be migratory species or transversal species are going to be affected by it.
Yeah.
Because it's a giant wall.
What's got holes in it?
Depends on what animal it is, right?
Yeah, I know.
Because tortoises and stuff like that.
Gonna have a rough time.
Yeah, which they need to put like holes in the base.
Yeah, they should.
I mean, like a foot by a foot or 2 foot by 2 foot. Maybe not enough for a person to squeeze through, but enough for a tortoise and lizards and like there needs to be a flow through of species.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so according to the Center of Biodiversity, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service classified jaguars as endangered. But yeah, they're back.
Guess who's back?
Jaguars.
Back again.
I think this is my last one for you. Here we go. The underwater isopods, that's the cousins of roly-polies, were discovered in the Bahamas. So have you seen deep sea isopods? Like they're massive.
Yeah, like big pills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing as roly-polies. They're all crustaceans.
Okay.
So Ocean X, a researcher from Ocean X, at Cape of Dural Island School went on a mission to the Bahamas back in 2019. There in the Eximo Sound, they discovered a new species of isopod, but they didn't share the news until 2024. But their research was published in Zootaxa magazine. But yeah, this is called Bornema nicarum. It is established to be 300 million years old.
Wow.
So when we talk about living fossils,
this is one of them.
This is one of them. But yeah, that's my last one. So that's new species or rediscovered species or reestablished species.
Nice.
For the year. And there is, like I said, this is already a half hour long. I also found a new thing. I may do another one in the next couple of weeks. It's like the good news from 2024 because a bunch of species had their best numbers in the last 100 years.
Nice.
Which is nowhere, like a lot of them aren't nowhere near to be back to where they should be. But it's the first positive year they've had in 100 years.
It's trending positive finally.
100%. All right. I have been the Great and Sick Mystery.
And I've been Jay.
And we'll catch you next week, guys. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Freaky Fauna Friday. If you want to help the podcast grow, remember to share and give it a 5-star review.